Welcome to Magic Arcanum. I'm Ryan Gomez. Behind the scenes is Nicole Letson, and we're so glad you're here because it's story time. Niko Aris is a new planeswalker character introduced to us in Kaldheim, but they only had a guest appearance in the main storyline, which left a lot of people wondering about their origin. So today, since this is Flavor Win, we're going to pull the curtain back on Niko just a bit and then jump over to Magic Arena, where we'll play with a deck themed around their abilities. Alright, let's start with the basics. Niko Aris is a human planeswalker from Theros. They are centered in blue mana, and their powers are based around conjuring magical mirrors, which can be used both defensively and offensively. Niko is non-binary, which means the correct way to refer to them is with the gender-neutral they or them rather than he or her. Now this truth has made some people uncomfortable with Niko as a character. To those folks, I say, grow up! Anyway, Niko was born on Theros, a plane inspired by Greek mythology. Early in their life, an oracle foresaw them becoming a highly skilled and undefeated athlete. Niko trained as a javelin thrower for years and indeed became a highly skilled and undefeated athlete, but they weren't exactly happy about it. After growing up hearing stories about brave heroes, one day Niko decided to test their own destiny by intentionally losing a competition. This was a major moment for Niko as they realized they could take control of their own fate, though it came with some consequences. In the story for Theros Beyond Death, the god Clothis was trying to restore things to order. She sent out agents to drag people back to their prescribed fate. Calyx going after Elspeth was the main event, but even Niko was on the receiving end of her fury. It was during a confrontation with one of these agents of fate that Niko's spark ignited and took them from Theros to Kaldheim. They arrived in Bredegard and quickly met Finn and his crew. Finn was suffering from visions and was on his way to visit with the Omen Seekers to get their help making sense of it. Now, Finn's group is described as a bunch of rough and tough bear riders. They're not elves, but the only green card in the set that shows anybody riding a bear is an elf, so that's what I gotta put on screen for you. The Omen Seekers, meanwhile, are blue. They are more refined, but they are still adventurers and explorers. The two groups don't generally get along, but this part of the story happens during an event called Frith, which is a sort of temporary truce. It doesn't really hold up, though, because while Finn was talking to the leader of the Omen Seekers, warriors from both sides were goaded into fighting each other by Bergi, the god of storytelling, who also happened to be present. Some Valkyries even arrived to watch the scuffle and prepared to take anyone who died to Starnheim if they deserved it, but Niko intervened. I mentioned earlier that Niko has a sort of mirror magic. They can create these glass-like shards and then use them to contain living things for a short amount of time. Combined with their athleticism from a lifetime of javelin throwing, these shards can be used for everything from capturing enemies to rescuing allies at range. So that's what Niko does. They capture one of the Valkyries in a shard and then uses a few more to help the clan leaders break up the rest of the fighting. It is then decided that Finn's vision and Niko's arrival foretell a pending doomscar. Eager to prove that they are not a source of trouble, Niko volunteers to go to Starnheim and work with the Valkyries to try and stop the problem before it starts. Using the Valkyrie still trapped in the mirror as a sort of guide, Niko crosses into another realm, once again with the goal of defying destiny. Arriving in Starnheim, Niko tried to warn the Valkyries of what was coming, but they were too late. Koma, the Cosmos Serpent, appeared through an omen path opened by Tybalt, and Starnheim suddenly found itself unsure of what to do. Niko, remembering the heroic stories of Theros, charged forward and led the rest of the Valkyries against the Serpent. Working together, they were able to force it back through the omen path. which then deposited all of them on Bredegard, just in time for the final act of the main storyline. So this brought Niko face to face with Kaya, and they continued to fight demons and zombies as Halvar used the Sword of the Realms to close the Omen Paths and end the Doomscar. When everything was back to normal, Niko asked Kaya if she had ever heard of a place called Theros, and she said, yeah, we should probably talk. And that's it. That's the story for Niko so far. They have only seen their home plane of Theros and now Kaldheim, and they have just met Kaya, which means a whole multiverse of possibilities is now open to them. Niko is based in blue, but their appearance on Kaldheim also has them using white, which fits with the story as they repeatedly risked their own life for the greater good of the plane, even though it wasn't their home. Now normally, blue characters in Magic are driven by knowledge, or at least pursuits of the mind, with Jace being an iconic example. Niko shows us another side to the color, which is self-improvement through practice. Blue believes that anyone can become anything if they work hard at it and develop the necessary skills to be successful. This is the nurture part of the nature versus nurture argument. Green tends to accept things as they are. You don't see a lot of bears working out trying to become better bears, right? But blue will always keep trying to improve itself. That's how Niko wound up one of the most elite athletes on Theros. But where will they go from here? And will they keep that helpful streak of white we saw on Kaldheim? Teferi and Narset are the other two blue planeswalkers who occupy the same color space, and frankly, 3 is a crowd. With the story likely heading towards a confrontation with the Phyrexians, the Gatewatch is probably going to need all the help it can get, but gameplay-wise, somebody's going to have to budge on those colors. I think the next time we see Niko, they'll be mono blue, and they might even be pushed down to an uncommon if we get another set similar to War of the Spark with a bunch of planeswalkers working together against the Phyrexians. Aside from that, though, I really don't know what's in store for Niko. They wanted an unwritten future, and they got it. So now we just have to wait and see how that plays out. What I do know, though, is that it's time to put Niko to the test on Arena. So let's jump over to the gameplay half of this Flavor Win. Okay, welcome to the second half of Flavor Win. I've got my deck here for Niko laid out. It's called Niko's Destiny. And we, of course, have Niko Aris. So let's take a look at the card. It's a planeswalker that costs X, white, blue, blue. It's going to enter with 3 loyalty, and it says when Niko Aris enters the battlefield, create X shard tokens. The shards are token enchantments that can be sacrificed to scry 1 and then draw a card. The plus ability lets you make one of your creatures unblockable, but then you got to return it to your hand. The -1, the first -1, lets you deal 2 damage to target tapped creature, and then the other -1 lets you create another shard token. So the part about this card that I thought we could maybe have some success building around was the fact that these shards are enchantments. That's a free way to trigger Constellation, which is another mechanic in Standard right now thanks to Theros Beyond Death. And since Theros is where Niko is from, it felt fair to make a deck that was some Theros and some Kaldheim mixed together. So ideally, on turn 4, we're playing one of these, the Archon of Sun's Grace, because every time we play an enchantment after that, we get a 2/2 white Pegasus creature token with flying, and it will also have lifelink as long as the original Archon is there as well. So play this on turn 4, play Niko on turn 5, with X being 2, we immediately get 2 shards, which means 2 Pegasus tokens, and then we can even use the -1 that same turn to make a 3rd shard, and hence a 3rd Pegasus token. So that's kind of our game plan, is to just go over the top in the sky with a bunch of flying Pegasus. To help us get there, we're going to start off with some Alseeds of Life's Bounty. These are great 1-drop creature. The fact that they are also enchantments means that they kind of work with our Constellation theme, and we can use them to protect the Pegasus later if we need it. We've got a single Valor of the Worthy in here, another enchantment that's easy to fire off and kind of give us a little bit of insurance against removal and things like that. We've got some Birth of Meletis, another enchantment. This one's going to help us find the lands that we need, hopefully, to get our Niko and our Pegasus army going. And putting down that early 0-4 wall as a defender might help us out against some of the more aggressive decks that we might see. Depart the Realm is kind of my silver bullet answer to the Tybalt's Trickery decks. If they try to get Ugin out on turn 2 or something, we can just return it right to their hand and make them go through the combo again. A single glimpse of freedom. So this is supposed to represent when Niko was on Theros and their spark ignited and they kind of got this opportunity to go anywhere. And I love including just like one card to kind of like tell part of their story or something like that. Protean Thaumaturge is another constellation creature. Whenever a enchantment enters the battlefield under our control, we can have this guy become a copy of any other target creature. It doesn't have to be our own, although copying our Archon usually doubles up our number of Pegasus tokens, which is great. But we can copy whatever best thing they have. So maybe it's a Croxa, maybe it's one of those giants or something that has hit the battlefield early. Lots of interesting ways that we can use this one, especially with all the enchantments that we've got in the deck. Staggering Insight gives us another way to draw some cards and kind of keep our tempo up, and it's another enchantment, which again fits with most of our theme. Banishing Light is our best removal spell. It can get rid of anything, and again, it's an enchantment. Starnheim Courser. Well, Niko went to Starnheim, so I don't think they ever actually rode a Pegasus, but since this is another Pegasus, it gets the lifelink bonus from the Archon, and it reduces our enchantment spells by 1. We have a single copy of Niko Defies Destiny. Felt appropriate because it's, their signature saga. And then we've got one Starnheim Unleashed, which again ties to the story when Niko helped bring all the Valkyries to Bredegard. And then Behold the Multiverse, which also features Niko in the art. And this is just a really solid draw card. Being able to foretell it early and then, hit those extra cards late can help us smooth out and get out of some rough situations. A single Doomscar, that was what Niko was trying to prevent, but in our case, foretelling that and kind of keeping it in our pocket in case we do need to wipe the board could come in handy. And then a couple of Elspeth Conquers Death. That was kind of the theme of Theros, where Niko was from, and the events of that kind of affected them as well. So this is just another really good way to kind of shut down some annoying permanents, and can also get Niko or our Archon back out of the graveyard if things go long. Lands are just the basic, the Theros Plains and Islands, which look beautiful. A couple of pathways here to kind of give us some color options. Temple of Enlightenment, that's where Niko is from. They are from Meletis, where Afara was the god kind of in charge, and this land is kind of representative of that. And then some Fabled Passages, which don't quite fit with the Theros or Kaldheim theme, but we need a way just to kind of thin out the deck a bit and kind of, fix things as we go. So that is the game plan. Get out an Archon, start making enchantments, and go wide with a sky full of flying Pegasus tokens. Let's see how we do. Okay, here we go with our Niko's Destiny deck. We've got some lands, we've got some early action here. We're missing our key pieces, but we'll probably get there in time, so let's keep it. We're playing against Random Lackey with the fearsome Gideon avatar. And I think we're going to just open with the Plains and our Alseid and see what happens. I think next turn we could probably enchant that with the Valor of the Worthy. Getting in for 2 lifelink damage a turn. Pretty good. Random Lackey thinking about it. Opens with the World Tree. Interesting. So yeah, I think I still like trying to erase here and do as much damage as fast as possible. And we'll use this opportunity to scry off of our temple a 4th land. Yeah, I think we're fine taking that. We're going to need 4 or 5 eventually for the Archons and for everything else we want to do. Alright, is this a Tybalt's Trickery deck? They're foretelling something. Alright, first we'll get in for our 2 damage. We'll play our Thaumaturge. And we'll even make him into another copy of this guy. Alright, so things are off to an okay start for Niko's team here, although plenty of ways our opponent can answer back here. Cultivate, so they are ramping up into something big. Is this the deck that ramps into Ugin? Probably. Every deck ramps into Ugin, right? Okay, so we will just keep swinging in there. Opponent at 12, we're at 28. If we do happen to draw Archon, we'll have enough to keep an Alseed available to protect it, so that's something. Opponent goes with Dual Strike. The next instant or sorcery spell you cast with cost 4 or less, copy it. Okay, so what are they copying? Another Cultivate? Roiling Regrowth. So they're just going to go get all the lands. Which means their World Tree is now live. So is this a God's deck? Are they really just ramping to get enough lands so that they can use the ability on World Tree and pull all the gods out of their deck? That'd be impressive. Alright, well, Depart might help if that's what they are doing. They're on a 2-turn clock now, I think, so let's see what they do with their abundance of mana. They're at 7. Opponent finds an 8th land. Big decision, 4 cards in hand, 1 in foretell space. Could be anything. Really going into the tank here. Lithoforming. Here's Lithoforming. Alright, so they're going to sacrifice 4 lands. And then draw 4 cards, and then they can play 4 additional lands. So they are now turning their lands into more cards drawn. So where is this strategy heading? I have not seen a deck quite like this yet. I am very curious what our opponent is up to. They got a bunch of lands out, only to sacrifice them and get cards. And now we have a Lotus Cobra, and they're allowed to play up to 4 more lands yet, so they could make a ton of mana here if they drew enough lands. They got 1. Man, now I'm wondering if I should have just departed that guy on the first landfall trigger so they couldn't go off like they're about to, but tell you what. Let's get that one out of here right now. Now they're not getting double lands. Alright, well, they weren't going to do anything else anyway. That's fine. Ugh. Alright, and Elspeth only works on a permanent with converted mana cost 3 or greater, so we can't even nip the Cobra. I think we'll just have to keep applying pressure here. And if they're going to trade for the big one, we get a Flying Spirit token out of that, so I am fine with that trade. Okay. Opponent at 6, still on a 2-turn clock. They've got 6 lands, and we know they have at least 1 Lotus Cobra. Where do we go from here? You're killing me, Smalls. Another Dual Strike. They're going to double up the next instant or sorcery that they cast. Which is Random Lackey. It's got to be one of these 4 cards. Think about it. Think about it very hard. You're on live TV. We go with the Lotus Cobra. Okay. Wow, all right. So we're going to double up our Roiling Regrowth again, which is going to get a bunch more lands and landfall triggers for the Cobra. But now we're down to just 3 cards in hand. And about half of their deck has been gone through already, too. So, all right. Resolve, resolve, resolve. Get your mana. Second copy of Roiling Regrowth. 2 more lands, 2 more mana. Yep. Adding blue. Interesting. What do you do with your floating 4 mana? Boy, if you go through all this ramp just to lose to a couple of 1/1s, I don't know what to tell you. Mythos of Vadrock, a card we don't see very often. Alright, so deal 5 damage, divide as you choose among any number of target creatures or planeswalkers. If white and blue was spent on this, it was not. Alright, so do I sacrifice one of these? Yeah. To protect the flyer? Sure. Protection from red. Resolve. Alright, 5 turn clock. I guess we can try and get some more lands out of our deck here. Improve our chances of drawing anything else. Come on, Lucky Green Cup, let's win this one. Opponent, again, carefully weighing all the options granted to them by 3 cards in hand, although they do also have Notvold Slumbermound, which they can use to destroy one of my lands and create themselves a 4/4 green troll. There's Ugin, as expected. Okay, so now what do you do with that? Plus him to kill my spirit? Probably. Or I guess you could -0. No, +2. Sure. Well, that's fine, because we are going to conquer him with death. And then I guess we're getting... I don't know what we're going to get back in 2 turns, but we'll worry about that when we get there. We do get to put down Niko. Don't know how helpful they're going to be without some way to use those shards, although I guess I can just use them to draw a ton of cards. Alright, opponent, we got rid of one of your Ugins. Do you have a second one tucked away somewhere? No, we just have Fire Emancipation. Okay. So source you control will deal damage to a permanent player. It deals triple instead. So this snake will do 6 damage to me, or it will kill my wall. I think I will take 6. Fair enough. Alright. So do I just run Niko out and make a bunch of shards? I think so. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll do that. And I will actually use their minus to get this Lotus Cobra out of here. Did not expect that ability to ever be useful, but maybe this is it. And so now this is good, because if they kill Niko, we just get them right back with Elspeth Conquers Death. If they don't kill Niko, we probably get back one of the Alcedes. Okay, once again, 3 cards, a lot of decisions. So this just seems to be a red-green ramp deck. Balakut Exploration. Whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, exile the top card of your library, you may play it. Alright, fine. And they hit another one. And this is a Fabled Passage, which they can sacrifice to get another landfall trigger and get another card. Or just let me deal damage. Okay, so we are going to return, I guess, one of these guys. Gonna let that happen? Okay, we'll give them +1/+1. Cool. We will make that unblockable. Whenever it deals damage, return it to its hand, but it's not going to deal damage this turn, so that's fine. I think we're going to use a shard and try to draw something better. Forgot that they let you scry first. That is helpful. Wow, all of the... Okay. Let's go again. Defies Destiny. Interesting. Alright, so do we have any foretold stuff in our graveyard? Just one card. So I think we'll hold on to that. So maybe we'll just get another Alcide down to kind of keep some pressure on them. And if they do nothing, I might use another one of these at the end of their turn. But otherwise, I think we're going to suit up one of the Alcides with Staggering Insight and try to draw some more cards. So I guess if we had played the other one, we could have well, it would have eventually been lethal board state, right? Because we would have had 2, 3, 4, +1 would have been 5. So that might have been better. Man, playing a recorded game like this is hard. Especially when your opponent takes all the time in the world. We gotta bloom our Black Lotus flower. This is the best pet in the game. 20,000 gold I think I spent on that. Okay. Now they're going to Shatter Skull Smash, but we'll just give that protection from red and not let it blow up. Cool.
Feet? That's new for me.
Okay. More action happening with the exploration here. They found another Roiling Regrowth, which they could play. They're not going to. They're just going to let this deal damage. Okay. So let's throw Insight on here. Oh, let's also have some insurance policy in place in case this is... If that was like a shock or whatever, I would have been pretty upset. Alright. Attack for 3. Draw a card, please. That's another island. Where are my Pegasuses? Pegasi? Alright. We'll just end it there. We are threatening lethal, although they can turn this into a 4/4 troll, I guess, which then complicates things. Well, no, not really, because we can just give it protection from green and slip right by. All right, Random Lackey, what do you got? What do you got? Anything with your 2 cards? Anything at all? Do I have to give you the hello? You've been helloed. Now they're going to try and blow it up. So let's redeem that mana since we're going to lose it anyway. Don't want another land. Another Niko. Cool. You have a troll. You are still dead. Very, very dead. I can even just use Niko to make this unblockable. Alright, now you are getting the I'm sleeping. Oh, and our opponent explodes! That is a flavor win for Niko Aris. You love to see it. Let's see if we can get one more. Alright, we are not looking at a great hand here. Just a single land, so we're going to mulligan that. This is better. I think I can work with this. I don't love going first here, but we'll send back our expensive Archon. I think turn 2 is going to be foretelling, beholding the multiverse. We are playing against Lucas Silva with the... Is that a spine click sleeves? And yeah, we are going to foretell one of our Behold the Multiverses. Get our Black Lotus up here. Gotta have that. Our opponent has no pet at all, so we're way ahead on the pet game, which is really important. Fabled Passage on turn 2. And they are going to get another mountain. Curious. Alright, so maybe we're not the only one having land problems here. I think we're going to use our Behold. So we'll be able to play one of these, and then we can play that next turn. That seems fine. Now, do we put down the Alseid right into their shock? I think we do. Oh, they didn't have a shock. Curious. All right. Perhaps they have a Stomp with the Giant. Bone Crusher Giant is probably in here. It's a red-blue deck. They have snow-covered islands, but regular mountains. All right, well, we found a 4th land. So now I kind of like putting out the Archon. Although the fact that they've got blue makes me a little nervous. No counter magic. All right, so I think we're in good shape now because next turn we're going to make this guy into a copy of this guy. Tectonic Giant, one of my favorite cards, but I'm not afraid of that at the moment. So we will put down our Thaumaturge. We will then give birth to the great city of Miletus. Miletus? My Greek pronunciations are almost as bad as my Kaldheim Norse pronunciations. We're going to copy our Archon. Now, unfortunately, the way these triggers work out, I don't think you can stack it so that he becomes this in time to also see the enchantment show up. So, can't do that. But we can attack in the air with our flying, lifelinking Pegasus, which is great against an aggressive red deck that wants to deal damage to us. All right, so they're on 5. So, Battle of Frost and Fire. 4 damage to each non-giant creature. So I will use my Alseid to save my Archon. And now, since he's got protection from red, they can't even really attack with the giant. Yeah, okay. Okay, so now, do we worry about the rest of this? It will let them scry, and then whenever they cast a spell with converted mana cost 5 or greater, draw 2, then discard 1. So I could Banishing Light that. I think I'm just going to Banishing Light the giant to stop them from attacking. Let's get some more mana out here. Because we want to play an enchantment if we can, because that's going to give us another little friend. We haven't become a copy. But I don't want to become a copy of that. That's fine, because he's going to be gone anyway. And now we can attack. And then we can even foretell another Behold the Multiverse. Alright, opponent, scry 3. So a red-blue Giants deck. Alright, we are ahead on life considerably. They have way more cards in hand, though, which makes me a little nervous. And if they have another Battle of Frost and Fire, that would be punishing for us. But nope, they're just going to cast the very expensive Squash. Fine. Alright, so now we have our excellent 2-card combo. We don't have enough to play both parts of it this turn, but I'm fine running out the Archon now. Get lifelink back on this Pegasus. And then we can even draw some more cards. Ooh, another Archon at These are so good. I think I want both of these cards. Because it's another Archon, another enchantment, which means more tokens. Alright, but our opponent does have 5 cards, and they can certainly answer this board. It is not very big or tough if they have another 4 damage wipe. Okay, Quakebringer. Yep. Gotta give something back. Give up Invasion of the Giants. And so this guy says we can't gain life. Outstanding. At the beginning of their upkeep, they'll do 2 damage to us if Quakebringer's on the battlefield, and he is. So, alright, if we cannot gain life, do we just try to swarm with tokens? Yeah, might as well. The insight on here, this is going to give him 5 toughness, so now that's enough to survive that, 4 damage enchantment. Now, we're not going to gain any life here, but we are going to put our opponent on the ropes. Alright. Niko's deck is looking pretty good against these giants. And our opponent concedes! That is a flavor win for Niko. We didn't get to do the shard magic there, but, it was working in spirit. I think that's going to be it here. It's a fun deck. Try it out, and then let me know in the comments what you think. What do you think of Niko? Where are they going in the multiverse next? I'd love to hear your thoughts. So, do that, and then make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the great stories you'll only find here on Magic Arcanum, where I've got the squeakiest chair in the multiverse. We'll see ya!